Hey guys, welcome back to Previa podcast. This is Sarah
and Whitney.
And guys, I apologize if I sound a little horsey today, but I guess I've just talked too much this week to my children and everybody involved. But we are excited to be with you today. And today's conversation goes along with 4th of July week, Independence.
That's right.
And so as moms, we're celebrating independence this week, but there's also a loss, Whitney, of independence.
1000%. Yeah. I mean, we can't go and do like we used to.
No.
Even, you know, we feel like we lose a little bit of independence when we get married or when we get into a committed relationship, but we still have autonomy.
Correct.
We can still grab our keys and get in the car and go, and we can just do that. We literally just grab the keys and go.
You grab your purse and you're just like, okay, I'll see you in an hour.
Yeah. Or whenever.
Yeah.
And
then
you don't even have to have a plan. You can just go.
You have no responsibilities. Yes. You don't have any person that needs you for their nourishment, their sleep,
their
life. I mean.
And so when we become a mom, how much more do we lose our own autonomy and our own independence? Because we can't just grab the keys and go.
No.
Okay, do I have the diaper bag? Do I have diapers? Do I have wipes? Do I have pouches? Do I have bottles? Do I have a sippy cup? Do I have da-da-da-da-da? Oh, and I also have to remember the tiny human I have to keep alive, or multiple humans, depending on where you're at in motherhood.
Exactly.
And all of those things. And we got to make sure, you know, that we got gas in the car, because heaven forbid you stop at the gas station, because maybe your children do not behave at the gas station.
No, they do not.
We don't know. And so it's one of those, nothing is ever just straightforward anymore. We're not only taking care of ourselves, but we're having to maintain others. So we never have that full independence again.
No. And, you know, doing the research for this episode, there is a medical anthropologist, Dana Raphael, who stated, you know, in her writing, which I love, and it's talking about like becoming a mother, right? And a lot of cultures say a woman has given birth.
Yeah.
We say a child is born. So we're kind of even from that get-go, not acknowledging that the mom has went through this like life transition I don't care who you are, it's going to rock you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, how can it not? Even if you have the most like uncomplicated, seamless pregnancy and labor and delivery and hospital experience, you are still now a new person navigating something you've never had to do before. Your child is learning how to human at the same time.
And that first 6 weeks is so hard. I mean, even that 4th trimester, right?
Oh, yes.
Because they're used to being in your womb. You're used to them being in your belly. Your partners, you know, your partnership has been a you and them thing. So like a 2-person relationship. Now you have a third person.
Yeah.
Who you can't say, this is a boundary, baby. Like, we're not going to do this.
Yeah, babies don't quite understand boundaries.
And they just need you. And so you don't have like, you know, you don't have like a slow build because it hits you all at once.
Oh, yeah.
As much as you think you're prepared for it.
There's nothing to truly prepare for all the things that we have to be aware of as moms. No one can really truly prepare you for the sleep deprivation. We talk about it, but until you've lived it, you don't really know how it will impact you or affect you. We don't really understand what that hormone crash is going to look and feel like. And, you know, whether you're breastfeeding or you're formula feeding, you don't really know what that's going to look like, what that's going to feel like, what that transition is, you know, all of the complications that can come from that, whether it's mastitis or a low supply or what have you. No one can truly prepare you for that.
No.
So it is a huge, I hate to say it like a perfect storm, but it is almost that perfect storm of physical change, emotional change, mental change, all of it all at once, and you got to keep up quick.
And I think it's like it hits you too because it's, you know, if we go back to adolescence, right? We had no control kind of like of our bodies going through that, our minds. Things felt weird with our friends, with our family, with like who we are. And honestly, becoming a mom's really not that different. We don't have a lot of control over it.
Nope.
And you know, everybody's like, I don't know who I am anymore. And I guarantee if you're a mom, especially a first-time mom, you have said, I don't know who I am anymore. We all say that.
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who is this person?
And it's not like, and it's not, I always hate when people are like, oh, it's a stay-at-home mom thing versus working mom thing. I don't care what you do.
Yeah.
You are still putting your needs on the back burner.
You're still a mom who is trying to navigate something that's incredibly challenging and ever-changing.
I mean, the fact that we cannot go to the restroom alone.
Nope.
Come
on now. My 6-year-old is just now to the point. Okay, Mom, you can do that without me. But my 2.5-year-old, oh no. Mm-mm.
And so you've just had these basic things that you used to do, right? Like comb my hair, brush my teeth, pee alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And all of that gets taken away essentially.
Yeah. Oh, it does.
And you're just like, wait, I didn't realize I needed that basic time for myself.
Yeah.
And how does that ultimately play out is, again, a loss of who am I? And then you may be like, how am I going to be in this relationship? Yeah. How am I going to be a wife? How am I going to be a friend?
Yeah.
My friends and me used to go grab drinks after work.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't do that.
Can't really do that anymore. Mm-mm. It's like.
Not without a lot of planning.
Right. Myself as who I am with a job. Mm-hmm. That sleep deprivation. Now you're thinking in the back of your head of your kid. Your kid's sick. It's going to put you in a place, no matter how awesome you are or what your resources are, you're always going to say, like, who am I and am I a good mom?
Mm-hmm. Well, because I think, again, social media just kind of puts the kerosene on the fire for this as far as the comparison game and feeling like we aren't living up to all of these expectations. But honestly, those are a lot of self-imposed expectations. It's the comparison game. And as cliche as this is, comparison is a thief of joy.
100%.
It is a thief of joy. And so what we have to understand is our baby's expectations of us are literally to keep them alive and comfort them.
Yeah.
They do not expect to have the most expensive car seat.
No.
Or the fanciest crib or, the Pinterest house or whatever it may be. They just need their basic needs met. And also as moms, that's what we need. So kind of pulling that back into social work school, and some of you may have heard this, is Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Basic needs that we have to have
Exactly.
met.
At the bottom of that pyramid or triangle, you've got food, shelter, water, security. Those are everybody's basic foundational needs. Well, when those needs aren't met or they're not met consistently, we can't go up the hierarchy.
Oh, yeah.
We can't.
No.
It's not possible. You don't have a foundation.
And it's hard, especially in those newborn days, right? It's like, you'll be like, did I eat? Some days still with my kids, I've filled their water bottles up 50,000 times.
Oh, of course.
And I'm like, have I drank an ounce of water today?
Yeah.
So you don't even, I always try to do this better now. You've taught me a lot of inner reflection of like, okay, Sarah, what's going on?
Yeah.
Have you ate?
Yeah. Are your basic needs being met?
Have you hydrated? Did you not sleep last night?
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's hit those 3 things.
Yeah.
And then let's see what else is going on.
Correct. Yep.
Like, now that I'm in menopause, I'm like, okay, do I need my hormones rebalanced? But before, around our periods, that's a huge hormonal shift that we're dealing with too.
Yes.
So kind of looking at the situation of going, okay, what other factors are at play?
Exactly.
But if all these are met and this mom is still saying, I don't know who I am, Whitney.
Yeah.
What do you tell her?
Well, I think it's normal for us to question our identity when our identity has taken on something new. And it's not that our old identity or the existing identity is gone. We are adding to that identity. And so often people kind of absorb being a mom as the identity. It is part of our identity, not our whole identity. So while, yes, I am a mom, I do answer to mama and mommy. I absolutely do. I also am somebody's wife.
Yeah.
So that is part of my identity, but I'm also somebody not exclusive to those things.
Right.
I'm also Whitney. I'm also a social worker. I'm also somebody that enjoys photography.
Yeah.
I'm somebody that enjoys running. So all of those are pieces of my identity, but they are not my whole identity.
Yeah.
And I think it's really hard for people to not put all of their identity into one category.
No matter if we're talking about motherhood or if it's, I compare it to, I dated this guy through college, and his younger brother was very talented, athletic, had ultimately, I think it was an injury that led to finding something that pretty much said your where you thought you were going
is gone.
Mm-hmm. And so if it's, you put that on sports, or if you put that on being a mom, or maybe it was your job, or maybe it was being someone's wife or girlfriend or whoever, that's too much for one thing.
Correct. Well, and it's interesting that you bring up a medical thing. There's so often times where people get diagnosed with something, and diagnoses are so good because they help us. We can get to a root of things, and sometimes we can fix things. But oftentimes when you look at something that is a chronic diagnosis, they absorb the diagnosis as part of the identity.
Oh, wow.
Instead of that being a component.
So
something
like,
to treat.
I have cancer.
Correct.
Like, I am cancer, essentially living.
Or especially when we look at mental health stuff, people will say, well, I am autistic. That's true. You do fall into the ASD spectrum, but you are more than autism.
Yeah.
You are a greater being than just autism or OCD or bipolar, depression, anxiety, all of those things. You are not just bipolar.
Yeah.
You can't just say, hi, I'm Sarah, I'm bipolar.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's not actually your whole identity. It's part of it. We're not going to sweep it under the rug, and we're not going to ignore it. We know that that can be part of us. It is a component of us that needs to be treated. It needs to have some focus and energy, but it's not all of us, and we can't let that consume us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it even goes back to, besides medical, our past history and our trauma. Well, I was, abused. I was this, or I experienced this. I'm this. And it's like moving past just what we label ourselves as.
Correct.
I think that's a really hard thing to look at. And I think adding in anything extra in our life, like becoming a mom or more children or a new relationship, the identity again gets really hard.
Oh, absolutely. And so for moms out there, and, myself included, when we become a mom or we feel like motherhood consumes us, try to have a little bit of a grounding thought or a reframing thought in that moment of, okay, I am a mom, but I am not only a mom. That is not the only thing that gives me worth.
Yeah.
Now, is it okay for us to find self-worth in motherhood? Absolutely, we can. It should not be our sole source of it.
And I think that's, especially I've heard from moms who's maybe struggled to get pregnant. And if you struggle to get pregnant, you've wanted it so much, you haven't. And you feel like that has to be the everything that completes you.
Yeah.
And you get in this vicious cycle.
Well, I think, again, to kind of going back to medical stuff, when we go through infertility, we kind of absorb that as our identity. And we're almost looking for identity swaps.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm feeling called out.
Same. I did
just like, oh, okay.
Same. I feel that because, when I was going through infertility, I'll never forget getting a piece of paper after my HSG that said, final or formal diagnosis, female infertility. And I thought, that is part of me at this, like, I am infertile.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so I took on that label, and I was like, well, I just am now. How am I supposed to be okay with this? So, at that, we were obviously still continuing with infertility treatments at that point. And I so desperately wanted that identity swap from infertility to pregnant/mom. Because in my head, I was like, well, I've overcome this label. That's a negative label in my head.
Yes,
it was a negative label.
Right.
Because it was a negative experience, because nobody wants to go through infertility.
No.
And so I thought, well, if I overcome this, then I've won.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So then herein comes my type A, kind of perfectionistic, let me conquer this. And I get so much of my self-worth and value over accomplishments.
Why are you just calling me out. I'm like,
Same. I'm telling on myself here.
I needed a therapy session with Whitney today, and you guys just get to listen to it. This is good.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it just, and I think I just in my head, you just made me go, aha, Sarah, because same thing. We struggled. Mm-hmm. I wanted that new label.
Because infertility is not a fun label to wear.
No, and you almost feel like, what was it back in the day in the witch hunts? They marked you or something.
Oh yeah, the scarlet letter.
Yeah, like I felt like that was,
Yeah, it's almost like you're walking around with your label at like a high school reunion. Hi, I'm infertile.
No,
Instead,
100%.
we want to be able to be like, hi, I'm pregnant. Hi, I'm a mom.
Right.
Because we think, and we also know that, there is a lot of accomplishment that comes from motherhood, but it looks so much better to wear the label of pregnant or mom than infertile.
Oh my gosh. And then I think you just literally told me everything that happened in my life was, I thought that replacement label of mom would solve all my problems.
Oh yeah. Because we put a lot of value on it.
And then when
there's nothing wrong with that.
It was not how I pictured. And then I was like, wait, this was supposed to solve I didn't know who I really was before. Yeah. The infertility journey versus, baby, postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, PTSD, all that I think made it a lot worse.
Oh.
But I didn't really know who Sarah was without those labels.
Yep.
And then motherhood, I thought was going to be my Band-Aid, and it made it worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those, we thought it would be the Band-Aid, but we actually have an infection that we need to treat with medication instead of just rubbing alcohol on a Band-Aid.
Boy, that Band-Aid just didn't try. That's what I said. Maybe I needed a new Band-Aid. I was like, because you blame it. You're just like, okay, but look at Pinterest, look at Instagram, look at these moms, and it's like.
They're also not being real.
They're not being real, and it's 5 minutes of their day. I relate it to literally the reels me and you make for Instagram. That is like a minute of our day, and you cannot tell anything about our lives from that. You don't know what we have, everything we're thinking or feeling or enduring in that moment. So take everything you see in terms of comparison for a grain of salt.
Oh, absolutely. Because it really is a snippet of somebody's day.
Yes.
And they're not going to let you see. You may see these beautiful, clean countertops. You do not see the clutter behind them.
I'm guilty. I'll be like, let me put the camera right here so y'all don't see what's in the back. You see this right here.
Mm-hmm. Well, the last one I did where I was in my laundry room, I'm like, y'all can see my mess of a house because here it is.
Sometimes
reality.
I filmed one yesterday and it clearly shows what my car looks like, which is atrocious right now. I see new splatter spots from baby James's pouches daily. Yeah. And at this point, it just is like, well, how worse can it get?
Yeah.
But, back to the identity, it's not just us.
No.
And even if you're not pregnant or, you didn't do infertility or maybe the mom is what you always wanted to be.
Yeah. And it's not what you envisioned it being or it's harder than you envisioned it being. Just know that that's normal because our kids throw us curveballs that we didn't see coming.
Every day.
Every day. We all know that the tantrums are going to happen. I don't think we fully understand that it's going to be a constant.
No, and I think it's hard too because kids don't care what kind of day you've had.
Oh no, they don't. They do not.
And they shouldn't, because our problems are not their problems essentially, but that's hard. And that's something that it's like I'm already struggling and you're trying to be there for them. And then you're like, I don't even really know who I am. This motherhood thing's supposed to be my identity.
Yeah. And it's hard.
Because I was that person. I was like, if I just become a mom, everything will be great.
Mm-hmm. It'll be the fix-all.
And it was not.
But, kind of going on that, kind of piggybacking off of that, is that we do that with careers too. We think, if I land a career at whatever place, life will be grand. But let's say you do land that dream job. It's still hard.
It's still hard, and so how do we get past these labels and start looking at identity? And so someone's like, I'm lost, Whitney, of my identity. What are some steps to start inner work? Obviously, we recommend therapy for this.
Yeah. This would be one of those if you're really wanting to do some kind of root discovery and healing. highly recommend inner child and internal family systems work.
Okay.
Because you're really actually starting to get to the root of where some of this happens. Because a lot of times our triggers in adulthood and parenthood are linked to something that occurred in our childhood. And if we can learn how to reparent ourselves and heal those wounds from 10, 15 years ago, then we're going to start to be like, okay, I don't have to absorb or assume who I was then because that's who I was told I was.
Right. Or it's like, I was the good child.
Yeah. I was the golden child. Or
because I didn't express my feelings.
Or I'm worthless because everybody told me I'm worthless. Things like that. And so if you really want to get to the roots of some things, definitely recommend some inner child and internal family systems work. If we're looking at more of kind of what I call like your crisis intervention or solution focus, like in the immediate here and now, what I really need you to do is do some reframing.
Okay.
And remind yourself you're not only a mom. You're not only a wife. Those two things, yes, they are a portion of you, but you existed before them.
And you
existed before your career. You existed before your college degree or whatever you have pursued. You are a person outside of those things that are secondary. Not to belittle them, but they are secondary.
I mean, I think ultimately, someone said this to me, your kids grow up and they will leave you. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, thanks for like stabbing my heart there. Right. Mm-hmm. But I get what they were trying to say was, I have seen it in the generations, above us. Mm-hmm. Their whole identity was their kids. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but they never realized their worth in other areas, or they never loved, like you, running, or they didn't recognize photography. Yeah. And so their kids left, as they should. Mm-hmm. We are going...
That's the normal life cycle.
And we want our kids to be equipped. We want them to feel like they can be independent without us. Still be connected to us, but not be like the unhealthy attachment. And then they look and they go, I don't know who I am. Yeah. So we're having these midlife crises, like, okay, we're becoming a mom. Oh my gosh, I don't know what I am. This was supposed to fix me. Okay, I dove straight into motherhood. My kids grew up, they leave me. Yeah. I don't know who I am. Mm-hmm. I don't know who my partner is. Yeah. Or maybe I've lost my partner in that journey. And I'm alone. Yeah. So it's like, I was like, okay, I get what you're saying. You don't want me to experience what you're experiencing right now. Yeah. So she's like, you have to find yourself in motherhood.
You do. And that's where you find, as hard as it is, especially in that newborn stage, find time to figure out what you do like. Mm-hmm. As you're able to put a few minutes into it here and there, do that. If you do have a significant other, try to work with them on how you can each do that for each other. Like you're with the kids for a little bit. If they want to go hang out with their friends, or if they want to go running or hiking or fishing or whatever it is, be like, yeah, I can do that for an hour on Saturday, but can you give me an hour on Sunday? Yeah. Have that trade-off so that it's even, because chances are your partner, maybe not to the same degree, but they may also feel lost in parenthood as well.
Well, yeah, because they've lost, I know me and Bill, which we're going to have an episode, guys, about this, about relationships and children and how that impacts. But I'll say here quickly, I think we both got comfortable with who we were as married, and then quickly shifted to become when we become parents. Yeah. And that was hard. And I think, it's hard for everyone. Mm-hmm. So it's not just you, it's not just your partner, but
universal.
It's universal. It's just, again, not showed, but back to your newborn stage, go back. Are you drinking? Are you hydrated with water? Mm-hmm. Yep. Are you getting 3 to 4 hours of sleep, at least a solid stretch?
Yeah.
Okay.
One solid stretch.
Minimally. Work with a therapist. If your stuff is going to come up, childhood, great. Yeah. Talk about it. Have a mission statement. Someone told me that. They're like, have a mission statement to kind of define what your values are. Yeah. And sometimes people can align with that easier, like a company. Like you think of a large company. Yes. Everybody's aligned with their mission. Correct. Figure what that is for your life. Yeah. And your family. Mm-hmm. Get support to get that time. If you're like, how's that going to work for me to have that 20 minutes? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ask Ask your friends, your moms friends who've been there.
Yeah, who have been in the trenches. They get it.
They get it. And they're like, so maybe your mother-in-law, you don't really want her talking to you how you feel. What if she's a great person to pick up fast food for you, pick up a meal, drop it off for you? Use people how they're best to be used.
Absolutely. Maybe they can do the dishes for you or sweep
Yes.
or something like that.
Because in that immediate time, just acknowledge
it's okay to have help.
It's
not a sign of weakness.
No, and sometimes I remember being alone with Will for the first time when he was tiny. I was like, what do I do?
Yeah. How am I supposed to handle
How am I supposed to handle this? And I think even just admitting I'm learning, this is a new rhythm.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You got to get into that rhythm and you will.
Yeah. And the rhythm changes.
As they grow, everything changes. And that's, so going back again to day-to-day tools.
Mm-hmm.
We love a good voice journal.
Oh, yes. Here for it.
Let it out. Saying, I don't know who I am right now. I feel lost.
Yeah. And ironically, while you're doing that voice journaling, sometimes we can start to figure ourselves out a little bit because we start to organize our thoughts and declutter our brains by getting it out. Then we kind of have a little bit of self-discovery with that.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about this, but somebody was suggesting that when they voice journal, they use AI to transcribe it. And then they'll go to their AI app and say, summarize it. And it bullet points it. Whitney felt XYZ today, very objectively. And they said they were using that for their meetings or for their business ideas.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh.
I kind of like that little twist on it.
I don't know. I'm like, that could be a harsh self-reflection.
Yeah. Buckle up. Might be challenging.
But it was something I heard of and I was like, huh.
I like that.
Try it out for us and we'll report back.
Okay.
And then, again, realize who your friends are in the trenches, the ones who've walked this road. If it's turning on and listening to us who are giving you our honest experiences, that find your safe space. And I think you have to know not everybody's your safe space.
Oh, agreed. You do have to have a little bit of discernment.
And it might be you think, and then you're like, whoa.
Yeah. Then you end up having that person that kind of stabs you in the back.
But and I remember I had an honest moment with someone and I was like, motherhood's a lot harder, or I kind of don't know who I am right now. And I had no idea that they couldn't ever have children.
Yeah.
And their response was, you just need to be grateful. And again, that is wrong. And I know it's coming from unhealed hurt. Mm-hmm. But in that moment, I was like, whoa. I tried to be vulnerable with you for a second.
Yeah.
And that really...
And you just got invalidated and gaslit.
So I'm not saying that that's the only reason why someone would do that. Some people are just like Aunt Brenda. But know that...
We just know about Aunt Brenda.
We just know that don't take it like you can't find that other safe person.
Correct, yeah.
Don't let that person stop you.
People with a magnifying glass, and that's okay.
100%.
I want people to look at me with a magnifying glass, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I want them to do that to me for their own well-being.
Yeah.
Why not?
Because it's too much. I mean, it's just, this world is just we're all pretending to be okay for a lot of points. And if you asked us really, we're not about something.
Yeah. We're just keeping our heads above water.
Yeah. And there is now this whole just shift I've seen about positivity and toxic positivity. Mm-hmm. And I think if you're working through identity, you're working through this new rhythm of motherhood. Again, don't let people invalidate your hard.
Exactly.
And that's okay.
For sure.
Okay, guys, we want you to enjoy your 4th of July week.
That's
hopefully,
right.
Thank you to our veterans.
That's right.
Who are fighting for our country. And, we're in this together.
We are.
Until next time, but I wanted to remind you guys to follow us on Instagram.
That's right.
Previa Alliance and Previa Alliance Podcast. Download and share our podcast episodes. We're trying our best to make sure that maternal mental health is every mom paid for benefit and access to education. And the greatest tool is you guys and your voice and helping us do that.
That's right.
Till next time.
See ya.
Maternal mental health is as important as physical health.
The Previa Alliance podcast was created for and by moms dealing with postpartum depression and all its variables, like anxiety, anger, and even apathy. Hosted by CEO, founder Sarah Parkhurst, and licensed clinical social worker Whitney Gay, each episode focuses on specific issues relevant to pregnancy and postpartum. Join us and hear how other moms have overcome mental health challenges, as well as access tips and suggestions on dealing with your own challenges as moms. You can also browse our podcast library and listen to previous episodes at any time. Please know you're not alone on this journey. We're here to help.